There's no way you can go into a hotel, sit down, ask for food. The food is brought, pay for it. And then the owner enters the hotel and says, you cannot eat this food because there's nothing left in the store.
In a better form. The simplistic thing to say that this cutting costs the drought is actually wrong, it's unscientific, it doesn't make sense.
Can you imagine the task force had absolutely no professional forester gazetted in the task force? Someone who is trained in the art of forest, there is no one gazetted.
The ban on logging is still in force, and the cabinet secretary in charge of forestry says it's for good reasons. But there are many others who've challenged this decision, saying that it will have far-reaching implications. But in the final analysis, will this help Kenya to inch closer to attaining the globally recommended forest cover? My name is Francis Ontomwa, and this is Inside Source. Just after the government of Kenya declared a 3-month moratorium on timber harvesting in February, March 5th, a task force was set up. The Rapid Resource Task Force was given the green light to look into the extent of logging in the country and advise the state. The owner's task was placed on Greenbelt Movement chairperson Marion Wakanyi, tasked to lead the task force. 2 weeks after formation, a preliminary report is already out, and among the recommendations is to disband the Kenya Forest Service Board, including the abolition of the contentious shamba system.
The Cabinet Secretary for Forestry should expedite the process of constituting a new KFS board. This will enable an immediate commencement of the administrative investigation process for the 16 suspended officers of KFS.
I have instructed the minister to develop in 10 days an implementation matrix of the task force report so that we can quickly seize the moment and ensure that we have a plan that will enable the government of Kenya take charge of the huge issue that currently is in the minds of the people of Kenya, of the management of our forest resources, and ensuring that on a sustainable basis there is a clarity on the plan to be implemented.
Biashara Master Sawmills Limited is located at the heart of Njoro town in Nakuru. This farm specializes in large-scale sawmilling and timber processing. It's one of the oldest in the county. They buy exotic trees from both community and public forests. For the last couple of months, business has been booming, but over the last few days, something unusual has been happening. The workforce has been thinning by the day. Once the remaining raw material is exhausted, they will have no choice but to temporarily close shop until when the tide will stop.
Kusema ukweli, hiyo ban imetuadhiri sana kwa sababu kiwanda kama hii tunakuwa tumeemploy watu 1200. Kwa wakati huu tuko na less than 100 people ambao towards the end of this week ile material ambayo kidogo tulikuwa nayo tutakuwa tumeexhaust na huenda tutafunga in the next 1 or 2 weeks, ambayo hii livelihood za watu wengi itakuwa imepotea, and that is a direct labor. Kuna wengine ambao ni indirect kama 200, na wao wako na dependence zaidi ya 5-6 kwa kila familia.
Mama Naomi Kosgei is a mother of 6. She has worked here for way above 2 years. Her role is to collect and pack chips in sacks after the milling process. The little proceeds she gets from here helps fend for her family. Lately though, she has been watching her colleagues exit one after another. Her worst fear right now is that if the government's ban persists, she could be next in line.
Mimi nalia tu, hakuna mtu naona ni kukurogota ile kidogo, hakuna kazi sasa. Sagine nasimama hakuna kazi. Sasa atapea nani mtoto nini? Na walimu nataka pesa. Na mimi pia nakula nini? Nakaa kwa nyumba kufanya nini?
Concerns by Mama Kosgei mirrors what is now slowly becoming a major talking point in Kenya. The ban is fast haunting many lives of those who dependent on the timber industry.
Sasa ikiendelea hivi, naona maisha yetu yatakuwa hali mbaya. Kwa sababu hata tutashindwa kusomesha watoto. Juu hii ndio shamba yetu. Unaona? Hii ndio shamba yetu. Sasa kama mdozi mwenyewe akikosa miti, nasi tumeafa.
Elbagon Town, Nakuru. Sawmilling and timber processing is a leading economic activity here. It has only been a few weeks into the ban, and the effect of the ban is biting hard. Youth seemingly having nothing to do. Residents saying crime is on an all-time high.
Shida mingi, wizi imekuwa juu, kupigwa ngeta, hata 100 huwezi funja wengine wakiona. Ukijaribu uende kwa wangu, utoe 100 upite na nje, umepigwa ngeta. 100 sio 1000. Tunaongezewa shida na serikali tuliyochagua sisi, ambaye ni aibu sana. Tuchukue vipango kwanza kupinga serikali tuliyochagua.
Parked by the roadside are lorries used to carry timber. The vehicle operators too left with little to do, now left to engage in their favorite pastime activities. It's a crunchy period.
Ili miti ndio huwa inatusaidia kulipa loan ya hizi magari. Lakini tangu miti ifungwe, tumekaa hata areas zinaanza kuzaana, unakuta unaitishwa pesa na hauna chochote hata kwa akaunti.
Tangu wakati huo hatujakuwa tukipata kazi. Wengi hata watoto wamefukuzwa shule, wengi tumefungiwa manyumba. Hata wengi magari ambao tulikuwa tunafanya kazi tayari ishachotwa.
The declaration on the ban, which some say was served without notice, was just one thing. More episodes were to follow. Barely a month after assuming office, Environment and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko sent home the Kenya Forest Service Director Emilio Mugo. Mugo was dropped as the government embarked on investigations into claims of the destruction of forests under the watch of the director. The Parliamentary Committee on Environment is investigating the suspension, with a section of members of the committee reportedly against the mode of suspension.
Nilikuwa nimesikia na nikaambiwa hapa kuna shida mingi, nilikuwa nakuja ndio tuangalie kama mnaharibu msitu, tuwaambie si kila mtu wako na kwake, mkae kwenu na sisi tukae kwetu. Lakini nimeona hamfanyi hivyo.
And it is this statement made by Mugo at Kabaru Forest in the Aberdare Ranges in Nyeri that could have cost him his job. While he was making the declaration in Central Region, little did he know that his new boss Keriako Tobiko was cruising over the forest complexes. And by the time Tobiko landed from the skies, Mugo was found unfit to continue holding on to the aprons of his job. He has since been replaced by a long-serving career forester, Monica Kalenda.
Na wengine wanataka kufanya industry kutoka kwa hiyo. Kwa sababu tuseme ukweli, wengine ni industry wanataka, ni pesa wanatafuta. Wanapiga siasa ndio watafute pesa. Waseme serikali imeshindwa kufanya hii, sasa tunataka sisi tupatiwe ndio tuende tufanye.
But even with the ban still operational, the inside source has established clear evidence that illegal logging is still taking place. Lorries carrying timber on highways are becoming a commonplace in parts of central Kenya, shockingly peddled by Kenya's security apparatus, the same unit meant to enforce the ban. A massive crackdown established that government vehicles were being used with impunity to transport the product. These pictures were taken from different parts of the country. An AP officer has already been charged alongside others in court in connection with unlawful possession of timber during the ban.
The sawmillers who say that their stocks paid for, allegedly, or maybe so, that is yet to be determined, their stock have been paid for and lying in the forest. The management team will oversight, ensure that all the processes and recommendations made are put in place.
Within state bodies, part of what has been described as the problem is the collision of two state bodies, the Kenya Forest Service and the Kenya Wildlife Service. A source familiar with the intrigues spoke to Inside Source.
The Ranger Protection Division and the Commercial Forestry Division are quite different. So where the Commercial Forestry Division is running around doing replanting or supervising the people who cut trees. The rangers are in the indigenous areas, and it's sad to say, but there's a lot of collusion with Kenya Wildlife Service officers, all right? Because you have to understand a lot of where indigenous forests lie suffer from the problem of dual gazettement. They are gazetted as wildlife reserves and they are gazetted as forest reserves.
Take the case of the expansive Mount Kenya forest. In 2000, the then Minister for State mass.The issued a gazette notice placing all parts of Mount Kenya forest in central and eastern provinces under KWS. Even today, this gazette notice is still enforced alongside another one issued in 1932 which placed Mount Kenya forest under the Forest Department. And so just exactly what lies in the ban? Is someone creating an artificial shortage of timber products to reap from the shortage? Is the government resolute in ending illegal logging? Deputy President William Ruto is the man of the pedals, although ghosts from the past seem to have stubbornly stuck on him during the controversial Mau eviction debate a few years ago. When he opposed evictions, he now says he is steadfast more than ever to do the undoable.
Wakenya walio pale hawajakataa kuondoka Mau, lakini wataondoka wakionyeshwa, wewe ukitoka hapa utaenda kujenga nyumba yako hapa.
My own track record on matters environment, I encourage you to do an investigation on my personal record on matters environment, and you will come to the conclusion that this effort is actually going to succeed.
Some, however, are reading politics and sectarian interest in the latest ban that has come up twice now after the country has undergone a presidential general election.
Kuna kitu ndani yake ambayo inaingiliwa kisiasa, ambayo kuna mtu anataka kubenefit kwa kufungwa kwa hii msitu, ama mtu kuonyesha kuwa ako na nguvu nyingi sana ambaye anaweza tu kusimamisha vile inataka. Hata ingawa kila wakati mtu mgeni akija huwa anasimamisha. Ministry ikipewa minister mgeni lazima create kitu, lazima create jambo fulani.
While the ban remains in force, the importation of timber and timber products is still going on, as stockists on the other hand who are the product now making a killing.
Why are we encouraging bringing timber from outside rather than here? Then we have the capacity to produce it. I'm told Malawi is now giving us timber. Malawi, of all the places, to supply Kenya with pine as a radiata, which we can grow so comfortably here.
This issue of sawmilling, you realize, for example, that maybe I would give an example, Kericho. Somebody would, a sawmiller, would be given, acquired by visiting Karura headquarters, and is given, for example, to go and clear maybe 100 trees, 100 trees physically, 1 up to 100. That much cost. That's what is written in the document. But this same fellow will go to the Kericho ecosystem coordinator. He'll be shown some place in the forest to go and clear. But then it will not be 100, it will be 1,000.
In the 80s and 90s, during the Kanu era, communities were allocated large parts of the forest complex. And in the year 2008, a political row over settlement of the people broke out. Welcome to the Mau Forest Complex, located about 170 kilometers northwest of Nairobi, covering over 400,000 hectares. This is the country's largest remaining indigenous forest and also the largest of the country's 5 water towers. Large parts of the forest have already been cleared for settlement.
Tuko na shida kubwa. Mito haina maji. Tumekuwa na shida miaka mitatu, hatujakuwa na mvua ya kutosha. So mambo ya kukata miti for the next 90 days tumesema iwekwe kando, wizara iketi chini. In the next 2 weeks the ministry must tell the country how are we going to rectify the situation and the forest resources in this country.
Water levels have declined in 12 rivers that drain from the Mau complex. The Ndakaini Dam is another one facing real challenges. located on the slopes of Mount Kenya and the main source of water supply for the Nairobi Water Company in Nairobi, serving most of the Nairobi residents. Water levels have dropped to an all-time low of less than 25%. This, researchers say, is caused by prolonged drought in the Aberdares, Kikuyu, and Mount Kenya, the main water catchment for rivers feeding the dam. What has then fueled the notion that cutting down of trees leads to this state of affairs?
In your sciences,
Wamugunda Geteria is an experienced forester based in Nairobi. He does not seem to comprehend the argument advanced by state officials the legal harvesting of exotic trees will affect the water catchment zones.
Hydrologists should talk about things in a better form. The simplistic thing to say that this cutting costs the drought is actually wrong, it's unscientific, it doesn't make sense, because forests are there to be used. And if they are not used, if they are not cut, you cannot justify existence of forests. Imagine the people around here just watching these trees and lacking firewood, just staying stuck. That is not forestry. If you don't want forestry, do it right. And the right thing is use the forests, use the resources. Otherwise, just forget about forestry. And all the sciences we did, we pack off and go, and we leave the forest to the monkeys.
Kenya's main water towers include Mount Kenya, the Aberdare Ranges, Mount Elgon, and the Cherangani Hills. And so when the government slaps a ban on logging, even to those operating within the law, are reading more than just a ban. The government is not willing to face the real challenge facing its diminishing forest cover, the rampant destruction of forests by illegal timber poachers and not licensed millers.
The future of our children, and future generation is at stake. Unless ruthless action is taken. And that precisely is going to be what will happen.
This is not the first ban on logging to be declared in Kenya. Since 1974 to date, at least 6 bans have been put in place to control forest activities. Given the period taken for trees to mature, those in the industry say this essentially will take the country back economically.
This is timber. I can't sell it. That is timber there. I can't sell it because of the ban. I paid for it. I've transported all the logs. I paid the power. I paid my workers. But me, I'm not allowed to sell it. It's so unfortunate and so unfair. I buy the whole of the tree. This is now lost.
In Kenya, logging is a multi-billion shilling industry controlled by the powerful and well-connected individuals. It is estimated that forest products and services contribute about 7 billion to the economy and directly employs 50,000 people and 300,000 people indirectly. The timber industry alone is estimated to have investments of more than 44 billion shillings. The business environment seems to have changed drastically for everyone. Not even small-scale traders have good tidings. This is Molo, one of the main areas in Nakuru where commercial timber business has thrived. But even so, things are not okay. This furniture shop specializes in making coffins. Business is doing badly.
Kitu kama hii tulikuwa tunaiuza 22,000, sasa hii ni 26,000. Lazima tuongeze, jukani mbao imechangia hadi rangi kupanda. Nayo hii tulikuwa tunauza 15,000, sasa hii ni 18,000. Hata mtu akikuja na 16,000 siwezi chukua, juu 1,000 haitoshi kununua ile mbao na kusafirisha.
When the prices soar due to the low supply of raw materials, his sales get affected.
Yaani hali ikiendelea namna hiyo, naona hii kazi tutaachana nayo, nao wenye hiyo mzigo sasa wawe wakijipanga kivyao.
So we have a circular one here.
Further afield, we meet engineer Samuel Gitonga. He ditched his profession to concentrate in the timber business. He is the oldest sawmiller in Elbagon, and just like many others, he feels there is something amiss about the ban on logging.
Politics is the biggest hindrance to proper management of forestry. When you hear that there are illegal loggers or people are stealing trees, this is because of the mismanagement. The fact that you can go to Nairobi to a politician and get a piece of paper, you take it to a director and you are allocated a plantation, or what we call briefcase sawmillers, who get the permission from the politicians. This is one of the things that has deviated the legal sawmillers from carrying out their jobs legally.
Even as the Wakanyi-led task force carries on with their mandate, questions still abound on the suitability, composition, and competence of the task force. Not a single forester is in the team.
If I were the decision maker, I would not have created a task force, because all the science, all the things are in the drawing board. Everything is there. The forest rules are there. The hydrologists have done their work. The universities have done their work. Everybody has done his work. The government itself has archived all the knowledge that is being sought by the task force. I'm sorry, it's a waste of resources. All you needed to do was to go to the reports. In fact, Wahungu, the Minister of Environment, did hand over, and I saw it with my own eyes, the packages on what was to be done on forestry in Kenya.
Looking back, and I am quite convinced myself that we made the right decisions regarding the chair of the task force, regarding the membership and composition of the task force. I know, of course, those who had skeletons in their cupboards to hide tried as best as they could to scandalize and disparage this team of eminent ladies and gentlemen.
The appointment of Keriako Tobiko to head the ministry, fresh from the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions, received mixed signals. Even right within the ruling party, members of parliament were divided over his suitability. His top critics felt he carried a heavy burden negating the war on graft during his time as DPP. In fact, some like this man felt the appointment wasn't appropriate.
I sent a message later to the speaker, and I told him, you rigged Tobiko quite easily, but I will pursue my case in court. And he told me, you have every right to do that. He did not deny that he rigged Tobiko.
The inside source sought audience with National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi over the allegations. Someone called Sami picked on his behalf.
There was no petition, there was no such petition, my friend.
There is a gentleman called Bramwell Njururi.
Okay.
Yes.
But I never saw one, because many of those things are received in my office. I never saw one of that kind.
He actually claims that it was received by the secretary. The secretary in the office of the speaker.
Well then, I will ask him to call you when he's done with the meeting.
Kindly.
But the speaker did not call back. Parliament had its way after the cabinet secretary satisfied a vetting panel. Away from the intrigue surrounding the appointment of Keriako Tobiko, key departments in his ministry are still reeling from what pundits say is political interference. The Kenya Forest Service Board has been grilled by a parliamentary committee over allegations of sending home 8 members of staff. The 8 were sent packing way before the board sat and deliberated their suspension. Kenya is yet to learn from the best practices from the globe. Industrialized countries such as Finland, Sweden and Japan have high forest cover and thriving timber industries. The ban still on, new faces at the helm of Kenya's administration of forests and the task force putting final touches to their report. Focus remain on how Kenya will tread on this one, whether confidence will be restored in the sector or things will head south even more. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, the inside source.